One of the accessories I've got installed on this bike is the tank bag. And this tank bag here was originally bought for the BMW S1000 R that I had, and I used it on the Tracer. And now with this this Triumph, I'm going to be using it on the Triumph, but I think I'll have to make some adjustments because right now where the base is located, it's kind of sitting a bit forward. The base is centered right now on the filler, on the tank door, and as you can see, it looks like it's a little bit forward there. It might foul. It looks like it's fouling right there and this, I really don't like how this is here. And today it's probably going to move because this is going to foul. You can see it's going to foul the tank bag. So if I can get away without moving let me show you this, the underside, this can slide forward, which would push the tank bag back. But if I can get away without moving this by relocating that, I'll do it. I don't particularly want to move this. But before I can do all of that, I've got to install this Evo tank ring on the tank of the Tiger. So let me just sit this over here for now. As you can see, they're a matching pair. This is what I bought this for the S1000 as well, and used it briefly while I had that bike, and I still held on to it, and it's a good thing too because it works great on this bike. I've got it mounted on the passenger seat, and as a result, even though I've bought this bike now for about a week, I had this bike for about a week, I have not had these seats off. So I have no idea. Well, I do have an idea what's underneath, but I've just not done it on my bike. This could be pushed back a bit, I guess, but I've got a rack coming here for my GV top box, which is on the RS right now. So that's gonna come in another couple of days, and I'm gonna put that on. But for now, we're gonna put this tank ring on this. You look here, you can see I've got two other tank rings. This is the one that came off of the Tracer. This is the one that came off of the S1000R. And neither of them, of course, would fit the Tiger. So I had to go buy yet another one. And so this is the Evo tank ring for the Tiger. I do like SW Motech products, and their luggage is good. And I have no intention of getting rid of that tank bag. So it's got to go on the Tiger. So let's see what's inside. Inside you get a bag of hardware, screws and stuff. You get some instructions, and you get the tank ring. Instructions are not the most clear and straightforward. They're in German and English. One of the things to note here is that the torque that they specify for this little screws are 4.5 Newton meters. So for the very first time, I'm going to use my torque wrench when installing a tank ring. Reason being, you don't want to break anything, any trim piece that might be there, and also you don't want to over tighten it, because if you over tighten it, then you might have difficulty in opening the filler door. You know, it says here, for example, be careful when mounting the tank ring. Too much pressure to tighten the screws can damage the tank ring and the gas cap. And they also said to, after installing the tank ring, make sure that the filler cap can be opened and closed without restrictions. And over tightening can cause warpage, and that can cause problems in opening the tank door. So this is how it goes on. You just follow those instructions. The difficulty I had is these two part numbers here, 5 and 6. They're two different screws. 4 and 5, two different screws. 7 and 8, two different screws. But this one here, you would think this and this should be the same, but this one has part 7, this one says 7 and 8. For example, 7 is M5 by 16, and 8 is M5 by 40. So what does this mean, 7 and 8? Alternative? You know, because you can't put one screw on top of the other, obviously. We'll find out in a minute. It's always a good idea to check your parts list against your actual parts in the bag. And here we see we've got one this. They're both here. You've got this here and the little nut, the little screw and the little nut. They're both pre-installed. So I'm just gonna check on the tightness of that. It says one of these little tiny ones with the with this type of head on it, and that's there. And then it's got there are two of these M5 by 45s. I guess that's this one here. And then there's one M5 by 50. That's this one here. And then there's this round-headed, dome-headed one here as M5 by 40, and that's this one here. Okay, so we've got all the parts. So, do the instructions make any more sense now? Of course, I can't remember which one is which, but this funny one here, it looks like a dome-headed screw, 7 and 8. So right, so we're gonna just we're gonna just take it apart and just plunge right in and see what happens. But first, I'm gonna tighten this up, make sure that it's snug. So I backed all these screws off here, and the first thing that I noted was that these screws were very kind of like, they weren't very tight in the holes. So that's a good indication of the tightness to put back. Those two screws are the same length, and these two screws are the same length, and they're the short ones. So it's all installed now and tightened down. I will admit that I did not use the torque wrench because my torque wrench only goes up to 5.1 Newton meters. And I just figured I'd just put this on and use my fingers to finger tighten the screwdriver as I drove the screws in. So it should be good. Let's test fit. There is no fouling on this side, so it looks like the position is great. It'll like I mentioned, it will foul with this thing here. Let's turn it and see how much. Yeah, it will foul. Yeah, it fouls quite well with that. But before I sort this out and relocate this, I just realized that this tank bag here is just over the, if you can see, the key is underneath there, the ignition key or the key for the motorcycle. So I am gonna have to relocate this bag back a bit. Positioning the tank bag as far back as I think it'll go without looking at the underside, I can see that I can just access the keyway there for the ignition for the bike. So this is the inside of the tank bag, and 4 screws hold that bottom carriage in this location that it's in right now. So I'm gonna have to relocate those screw holes. I think they might be here. Relocate this whole carriage up to here, and then bore some new holes, drill some new holes, and then relocate this thing farther forward. So when I took this thing off, I see I've got 8 holes here. These 2 holes from the S1000, these 2 holes were from the Tracer. And when I relocated, I put some chalk marks, chalk on these posts here on the carriage, on this carrier, and pushed it on here so that it would mark the fabric where I need to drill. And it looks like I can reuse these holes from the S1000. So I need to just drill 2 new holes right there, and I should be able to mount it as far forward as possible. Holes drilled, and bottom on the carriage is reinstalled, and should be good to go. There it is, located on the bike. Kind of looks stupid with this big gap here, but I'm not going to be buying a new tank bag for now. Can I put my key in without taking off the tank bag? No. So either I have to take off this tank bag each and every time that I want to start, insert the key in the bike, or I'm gonna have to get a different tank bag. That's not good. I don't like that. I don't want to buy another tank bag. So This ignition switch is kind of in a poor place. On the Tracer, it used to be here and way down, and it was hard to get at. In this bike, it's much better easier to get at because of the location, but it follows the tank bag. So that's another kind of a down point for this bike. But there are alternatives. An alternative would be to buy a different tank bag, but that's low priority right now.